He's designing it to give himself the maximum discretion.
They said they learned their lesson.
He talks about the Boulder, Colorado suspect whose country is actually not on the banned list.
So Trump has decided to bring back his unconstitutional and frankly racist travel ban in a proclamation he just signed. So buckle up. We're going to unpack all of that, what it includes and what's wrong with it. But first, leave the video a like if you can. Take a moment, smash the like button. Lets us know you're enjoying the content. Lets us know that you want to see more, and it gives us a boost in the algorithm. And let's jump right into the video.
The differences in the travel ban we saw in term one and what we're seeing now.
Well, there are quite a bit of similarities as well as some glaring differences, particularly with the inclusion of Afghanistan. But this is something that President Trump has been telegraphing since day one. It's also something that I'm told has been an ongoing discussion and deliberation within this administration. And they felt quite empowered because, as a reminder, in the first term, the Supreme Court eventually did essentially okay a version of the travel ban, saying that the administration had broad discretion. The president specifically had broad discretion when it comes to limiting the entry of certain non-citizens. Now, as far as the similarities, in that iteration that was eventually approved or okayed by the Supreme Court, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Chad, Iran, those were in that iteration.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, it wasn't. Cuba and Venezuela, similarly, weren't. That is going to matter moving forward, particularly in Republican politics and in Florida. But the basis of this has been for this administration, both the first term and now.
Yeah, Trump learned from the first 3 rounds of litigation in his first term from this racist ban, unconstitutional ban, and trying to do this, how to, cookie cutter around the red flags, applying it instead in ways that are more likely to withstand legal challenges. He's not blocking green card holders or existing visas, and he's spreading out the country list so it can't be perceived as Muslim or against one specific group. But it is still notable when you look at the range of countries here that he chose predominantly from Africa and the Middle East, countries with predominantly brown populations, countries with plenty of people in need of genuine refuge. I mean, he just expedited white South Africans on unfounded claims of genocide, and he's now blocking all immigration from Sudan, a country of predominantly brown people that is going through a U.S. recognized genocide, the same with the Republic of Congo. I mean, make it make sense if it's not racially motivated.
Round one, it came out very quickly. People were left at airports, freaking out over, what this meant for them then. This seems to obviously be rolled out in a much different way, much later on in his term. What have the deliberations been like? I mean, since a lot of the people who are working in the Department of Homeland Security and in the West Wing, Stephen Miller and company, were here for that first time.
Well, carefully crafted. I had talked to a source about this when the deliberations were ongoing, and they said they learned their lesson. Remember, when the president came into office this January, one of the first questions I asked, is the travel ban going to come out as swiftly as it did in the first term? And that was the response that I got, because they did want to craft this carefully. This has already gone to the Supreme Court. They knew what discretion and authority they had. I think something to watch out for here, Kaitlan, is how this evolves, because it leaves, to your point, an opportunity for countries to be added or not.
Again, it just takes me back to the countries. Congo, literally experiencing genocide. Sudan, literally experiencing genocide. Haiti and Venezuela, horrendous humanitarian crisis. Yemen is experiencing what easily could be qualified as a genocide. Horrendous humanitarian crisis. Cuba and Chad have horrendous situations, if not what would also constitute outright humanitarian crises. It's wild that these countries have nothing in common but having predominantly brown populations. So why are they being targeted? Seemingly, white European countries have been deemed fine en masse by Trump. Not a single one is being touched by this ban. Not a single one has been touched by his overturning of the refugee system. None of that. But countries with legitimate claims for asylum are being blocked for seemingly no other reason than having predominantly brown population. And let's not forget the sheer, just on the ground chaos that this travel ban caused the last time that it was implemented, for families at airports, with border security, for legal immigrants, for just people who looked foreign that were Americans. I mean, it was an absolute disaster.
He's designing it to give himself the maximum discretion and making the argument to the courts that this is within the president's authority. This is sort of an executive branch decision.
Yeah. Shan, legally, how are you looking at this tonight?
I think if we go back to the original Trump 1 ban, as Priscilla was talking about, the Supreme Court gave the president the raw power to do this. The factual predicate here, I think, is really poor. I mean, he talks about the Boulder, Colorado suspect whose country is actually not on the banned list. He also has some kind of silly things, I think, which says, for example, some of the countries that face the bans or partial restrictions are people who have a higher percentage of people overstaying visas. I mean, how is a country supposed to screen for that? What's that got to do with anything? Individual people choose to overstay it. But
Are you saying that's more of a responsibility of?
He makes a great point here in that most of the failures in the immigration system come from our end, not from other countries. Like overwhelmingly, our lack of judges and lawyers to process green cards and visas, courts to hear asylum claims, allowing them to get backlogged, visas to expire, and those migrants to overstay them. Also, we know for a fact when you decrease legal immigration, it only boosts undocumented immigration. In Trump's first term, he decreased legal immigration by 11.6 million. Under Joe Biden, we had roughly 11.2 to 11.3 million to 12 million undocumented immigrants enter. That's almost a 1-to-1 line from decrease in legal to increase in undocumented. So now making it even harder to legally immigrate will only downstream lead to more undocumented immigrants, where again, none of the actual real flaws that exist in our system are being addressed, if any of them, right? Like, because Trump would rather politicize what he sees as a winning attack line on Democrats than address the very real flaws that exist.